शुक्लां भरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करभावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। अगजानन पद्मार्कं गजाननमहर्निशम् अनेकदन्तं भक्तानाम् एकदन्तमुपास्महे। श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां श्रीहयग्रीवमुपास्महे। श्रीहयग्रीवमूर्तये नमः। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। श्रीमहासरस्वत्यै नमः। उमाकोमलहस्ताब्जसम्भावितललाटकं हिरण्यकुण्डलं वन्दे कुमारं पुष्करस्रजं। வெற்றிவேல் முருகனுக்கு ஹரஹரோஹரா. லோகவீரியம் மகாபூஜ்யம் சர்வரக்ஷாகரம் விபும் பார்வதி ஹிருதயானந்தம் சாஸ்தாரம் பிரணமாம்யகம். சுவாமியே சரணமையப்பா. வாகர்த்தாவிவ சம்பிரக்தௌ வாகர்த்த பிரதிபத்தஹே ஜகதः பிதரौ வந்தே பார்வதி பரமேஸ்வரौ. ஸ்ரீ பார்வதி பரமேஸ்வராभ्यां நமः. कोमलं पूजयन् वेणुं श्यामलोऽयं कुमारकः वेदवेद्यं परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। पीताम्बरं करविराजितचक्रशङ्खकौमोदकी सरसिजं करुणासमुद्रं राधासहायम् अतिसुन्दरमन्दहासं वातालयेशम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। कृष्णो रक्षतु मां चराचरगुरुः कृष्णं नमस्ये सदा। कृष्णेनैव सुरक्षितोऽहमसकृत् कृष्णाय दत्तं मनः। कृष्णादेव समुद्भवो मम विभो कृष्णस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम्। कृष्णे भक्तिरचञ्चलास्तु भगवन् हे कृष्ण तुभ्यं नमः। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं नम्राणां सन्निधत्ते सततमपि पुरस्तैरणभ्यर्थितानपि अर्थान् कामानजस्रं वितरति परमानन्दसान्द्रां गतिं च। इत्थं निःशेषलभ्यो निरवधिकफलः पारिजातो हरे त्वं क्षुद्रं तं शक्रपाटी ध्रुवमभिलषति व्यर्थमर्त्यव्रजोऽयम्। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं श्रीभट्टपादम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। वंशीविभूषितकरात् नवनीरधाभात् पीताम्बरात् अरुणबिम्बफलाधरोष्टात् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखात् अरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने। കൈരണ്ടും കൂപ്പി ഞാൻ വിടുമീറക്കുന്നു നിരജലോചന നിന്നോടായി. ഏതീനു മഞ്ഞനെ കുമ്പിടേണ്ട തോറും പ്രീതിയിൽ നീ എന്നെ പാലിക്കുന്നായി. കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ. Good morning, everyone. So we'll do a quick review of 89 and 90. Kritika and Ninga, can you do one? And Ratiji, can you do one?
Sure.
Which one are you doing, Kritika? 89?
Ratiji, which one you are going to read? Can I read 90 or 89? Which one you want me?
I don't mind either one. I can do.
Okay.
If you want to go first, do that.
Sure. Okay. Sure. Dasakam 89. वृकासुर गदा भृहु परीक्षणं च रमा जाने जाने यदिह तव भक्तेषु विभवो न सत्यसम्पत्यस्तदिह कृत्वा दशमिनां प्राशान्तिं कृत्वैव प्रदिशसि ततः काममखिलं प्रशान्तेषु क्षिप्रं न खलु भवदीयेच्युतिकथा सत्यः प्रसाद ऋषिदान् दितिशङ्करातीन् केचित् विभो निजगुणानुगुणं भजन्तः भ्रष्टा भवन्ति पदकष्टमदीर्घदृष्ट्या स्पष्टं वृकासुर उदाहरणं किलास्मिन् सगुनिजस्सदु नारदमेकतां त्वरितदोषमपृच्छ दधीश्वरं सति देशगिरीशमुपासितुं न तु
Bandum asadushu.
भवन्तमबन्तमसाधुषु तपस्तप्त्वा घोरं सकलकुपितः सप्तमदिने शिरश्चित्वा सत्यः पुरहरमुपस्थाप्य पुरतः अधिक्षुत्रं रौद्रं शिरसि करतानेन नितनं जगन्नाथात् बव्रे भवति विमुखानां क्व शुपदिः मोक्तारं बन्धमुक्तो हरिणपतिरव प्रात्रवत्सोदरुद्रं दैत्यात् पीत्यास्मदेवो दिशि दिशि वलते पृष्ठतो तत्तदृष्टिः दूष्णीके सर्वलोके तव पदमतिरोक्षयन्दमुद्वीक्ष्य सर्वं
And the word Kritika and the iksh is only a half sha. So rokshyantam udvikshya.
Okay. पदमतिरोक्ष्यन्दमुद्वीक्ष्य सर्वं दूरादेव वाक्रतस्त्वं वटुवपुषा तस्तिशो तानवाया पत्रं
And the word, second last word.
huh?
Tastishe danavaya.
तस्तिशे दानवाय पत्रं ते साकुनेय प्रशमसि किमधुना त्वं पिशाचस्य वाचा सन्देहस्तेन्मदुक्तौ तव किमु न करोष्यङ्गुलीमङ्गमौलौ इत्थं त्वद्वाक्यमूढः शिरसि कृतकरः सोपतच्छिन्नपादं भ्रंशो हेवं परोपासि दुरपि सकतिः शूलिनोऽपि त्वमेव बृहुं किल सरस्वती निकटवासिनस्तापसाः त्रिमूर्तिषु समाधिसन्नतिकसत्वतां वेदितुम् अयं नारदा उदितदृत्तरेषे वितौ हरोबिच्च जिहिंसिषौ गिरिजाय धृते त्वमगात्.
This is the third line, and the fourth line, first word is harepi. Okay, you said haro, harepi. Fourth line, first word. Third line, ayam punaranadarat. उदितरुद्ध
वित्तरोष अयं पुनरनारद नाद ओके अयं पुनरनादराद उदितरुत्तरोषवितौ रोषवितौ सुप्तं रमाङ्ग भुवि पङ्कज लोचनं त्वां विप्रे विनिघ्नति पतेन मुदोदितस्त्वं सर्वं क्षमस्व मुनिवर्य भवेत् सदा मे त्वत्पादचिह्नमिह भूषणमित्यवादीः निश्चित्यदे च सुदृढं त्वयि भक्तभावाः सारस्वता मुनिवरा तदिरे विमोक्षं त्वामेव मच्युत पुनश्च्युति दोषहीनं सत्त्वोच्चयैः तनुमेव वयं भजामः सृष्ट्यादौ त्वं निकममिवहैर्वन्दिभिरिव स्तुतं विष्णो सच्चित् परमरस निर्द्वैतवपुषं परात्मानं भूमन् पशुपवनिताभाग्यनिवहं परितापस्रान्त्यै पवनपुरवासिन् परिपजे. Shri Krishna Parabrahmani.
The first line, second word on the tuam. Okay, you said tuam. Jagat Srishtiyadu.
Tuam. Okay.
Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. Agamadina Parama Tatparya Nirupanam. Brukaphrugumuni Mohyanyambarishadi Vritteshu Ayitavahi Mahatvam Sarva Sarvadi Jaitram Sthitamikha Paramatman Nishkalarvagaphinnam Kimapi Yadavaphatam Tadhirupam Tavaiva Murtitrayesvara Sadashiva Panchakam Yata Prahuh Paratma Vapureva Sadashivosmin Tatraisvarastu Savikuntha Padastvameva Tritvam Punarphajasi Satyapade Tripage Tatrapi Sattvikatanam Tava Vishnu Mahuhu Dhata tu Sattva Viralo Rajasaiva Purnaha Sattvotkatatvamapi chasti tamo vikara cheshtadikancha tava shankaranamri murtau tam cha trimurtyatigatam parapurisham tvam sarvatmanapi khalu sarvamayatva hetoho samsantyupasana vithau tadapi sotastu todrupamithyatidrutham bahunah pramanam Sri Shankaropi Bhagavan Sakaleshu Tavata Tvameva Manayati Yonahi Pakshapati Tonnishthameva Sahinama Sahasrakadi Vyakhyat Bhavat Stuti Parascha Gatim Gatonte Murtitrayatiga Muvacha cha Mandra Sastra Syadav Kalaya Sushamam Sakaleshwaram Tvam Dhyananjanishkalamasau Pranave Khaluktya Tvameva Tatra Sakalam Nijagadhananyam.
Aretiji, the third line, last word, Khaluktva.
Khaluktva, okay. Khaluktva, okay. Thank you. Samastasare cha Purana Samgrahe Trisamshayam Twan Mahimaiva Varnyate Trimurti Yuk Satya Padat Tripagatav Param Padam Te Kathitam Nashulinaha Yadbrahma kalpa iha bhagavata dvitiya skandhoditam vapuranavrutamīsha dhatre tasyaiva nama hari sarva mukham jagada srimathava shiva paropi purana sare ye prakriti anuguna girisham bhajante tesham phalam hi dridhayaiva tadiya bhaktyam Vyaso kitena kritavan adhikari hetoho skandadikeshu tavahani vachorthavadaihi Bhutartha kirtiranuvada viruddhavadau Tretarthavada gatayah khalu lochanarthaha स्कान्दादिकेषु बहवोऽत्र विरुद्धवादाः त्वत्तामसत्त्वपरिभूत्युपशिक्षणाद्याः यत्किं यत्किञ्जद्रु यत्किञ्जद्र यत्किञ्जद्रप्यविदुषामपि विभोमयत्तं तन्मन्त्रशास्त्रवचनाद्यभिदृष्टमेव व्यासोक्तिसारमय भागवतोपगीता क्लेशान् विधूय कुरु भक्तिपरं परात्मन् श्रीकृष्णाय परब्रह्मणे नमः.
Okay.
Rajesh, I have a question.
Yeah.
The title of 90 Agamadinam Paramatalparya Nirupanam. What is Agamadinam?
Agamadina generally is like the scriptures which are there, all the scriptures be related to worship of God is the Agama. That also, for example, includes how the temple needs to be constructed under the Agama principles.
Nigamagama, right? That Agama.
Agama. So
there's
that
Nimagam and Agamam, right? Nigamam and Agamam.
Maybe. I don't know about that specifics of it, but Agama generally means it's kind of the, it's like a, how do I say it? It's like a tradition, Agama tradition, which generally consists of all the scriptures which are there of how to worship, right? As well as it also has, for example, temple construction principles, everything. So it's really kind of like a combination of a whole bunch of scriptures which talks about how to worship. Okay, that's the general. So that's why in 90 is like we saw, he's pulling in from different scriptures, right? He's saying in this Vyasa said this, in this Shankaracharya said this, in this that other person said this, right? He's pulling in from multiple scriptures to describe that. That's right.
Okay. In the Malayalam book, the heading is Vishnu Mahatva Sthapanam. That's the heading.
At the end of the day, that's what Bhattacharya was saying. He's saying that, oh, Narayana, Guruppa, you are the topmost. He was kind of saying it, right? But he's pulling in from different places. So the Narayanam, this title is saying he's pulling in from different places. Your title is saying that is establishing Vishnu as the Supreme Lord. Both are correct. It's just like two sides of it, right?
Thank you.
Dasakam 91. Bhakti Swarupa Varnanam. So from 91, it goes into the Ekadasha Skandam of Bhagavatam, the 11th canto of Bhagavatam, where there's a lot of conversation that happens between Krishna and Uddhava. So like when Krishna and Arjuna spoke, it's called Bhagavad Gita. When Krishna and Uddhava spoke, it's called as a Uddhava Gita, where Krishna gives Uddhava a lot of information. Very similar to Bhagavad Gita, right? In the sense, it talks about Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. And that's what we are going to see over the next 5-6 Dashakams, is this essentially conversations of between Krishna and Uddhava, which happened in Bhagavatam, right? And the first 91 starts with just the path of devotion. It just talks about what is the path of devotion. So Bhakti Swarupa Varnanam.
Who is Uddhava?
Uddhava Nyavarka, remember, he's the person who was the friend of Krishna, who in Dashakam 76, he went to meet the Gopikas in Vrindavan, and then he becomes one of the greatest devotees of Krishna. That's the Uddhava.
Yeah.
That Uddhava. Right. So 91, Radha, you can be a student, and Maithili Garu, you can be a student.
Sir, one doubt. Was Uddhava sent as a messenger from Kamsa?
No. That is Akrura.
Akrura, okay. Sir.
Uddhava is who Krishna meets at the end of Dashakam 75 to say, you now meet your best friend Uddhava, who then becomes your greatest friend for the rest of your life. And then in 76, it talks about how Uddhava was like always imitating Krishna. And he became literally like Krishna in looks and everything. And then he was sent, he then had a little bit of pride in himself. So he was then sent to Vrindavan to communicate to gopis. And there he realized, that Evam Bhakti Sakala Bhuvane, I've never seen such a Bhakti anywhere, right? He kind of says that. And he becomes the greatest of devotees of Krishna. He's the number one devotee of Krishna. So later on, when we kind of see comparisons, so there they'll say, there's no devotee like Uddhava. He's the greatest of the devotees, right?
What is Ekadasha Skanda?
And the Bhagavatam has got 12 cantos. This is now coming to the 11th canto. That entire 11th canto is dedicated to this conversation that is happening, which is very philosophical conversations, right? That's what next 7 chapters are going to be for us. Okay, stanza 1. Shri Krishna Tvatpadhopasanam abhayatamam बद्धमित्यार्धदृष्टेः मर्त्यस्यार्थस्य मन्ये व्यपसरति भयं येन सर्वात्मनैव यत्तावत्त्वत्प्रणीतानि भजन विधीन् आस्थितो मोहमार्गे धावन्नप्यावृताक्षस्खलति न कुहचित् देवदेवाखिलात्मन्. So 91 to 100 are all going to be tough chapters, right? All four-liners, long. That's how all of the chapters are. So anyway, so this one starts off, the first one, we kind of have seen some of these things before. Like we said, when you have attachment to any object, it gives you a certain level of happiness. Each one could have attachment to some object which gives them happiness. And that is because it says it is not the object that is a problem. It is because when you're attached to some object, it is your mind which is actually getting attached to that object, which gives your senses, the five senses, some level of pleasure because of which you're getting attached to that object. Which means if I now remove that object out of the equation, you feel sad. Because your mind is telling, hey, that object gave your sense happiness. Now that object is removed. So your mind, then you're getting disappointed or you're feeling sad, right? So he says, but what is required for liberation? For liberation, you should not be attached to any object at all. So which means, that it's the opposite of happiness, but that is not. The question comes with, how do you not get attached to things and not feel sad and thereby get liberated? So this is the only path that can actually help you in that way is through bhakti. And in Kapilopakyanam, first stanza it says, Matiriha guna sakta bhanda kritteshva sakta atu. That's exactly the same meaning. It says, any attachment gives, happiness to different objects, right? But here it also says that because all of us believe we are this body, and this body is me. So if I have to feel happy, that means this body has to feel happy, which means the body has to get material pleasures, right? Because of all of these things, because of this attachment to everything, it says we are always afraid of things, right? And that attachment is constantly there. And the only way to do that is to follow the path of devotion, because it's very difficult to get. And we'll talk a little later about the Jnana Yoga, Jnana Margam and all of how to get knowledge. It is just too complicated, right? And so the only way it says is by constant devotion to Lord, this thing will start coming in. So it's like the more your devotion goes up, your attachment starts coming in. And, and it says in the last one, it says that a person who's truly devoted, he or she can run with their eyes closed, in the sense that even if they make mistakes on the path of devotion, through Shruti, which is through Vedas, to Smriti, which is through things which are written by people, no matter which approach you follow, even if you make mistakes, but if you're doing it with true devotion, those mistakes are always eradicated. You don't have to worry about it. And what that means is, if you're truly worshipping Krishna, but you don't follow the right way of offering Naivedhyam, I'm just giving you a very simple example, right? It is okay, it says. Because if you're doing it with true devotion, then that should not matter at all. The way you are doing it should not matter. That's what, anyway, this stanza is saying, which is what Krishna is saying, Uddhava also. So, Sri Krishna, Tvat Padopasanam Abhayatamam, that im you can break, Tvat Padopasanam Abhayatamam, comma, Baddha Mityartha Drishtehe, put a visarga, comma. Next line, there's a ir on top of ma, that will go away. Martyasyartasya, one word. Martyasyartasya manye, comma, Vyapasarati bhayam yena sarvatmanaiva. Shri Krishna tvatpadhupasanam abhayatamam baddhamityartha drishtehe martyasyartasya manye vyapasarati bhayam yena sarvatmanaiva.
Shri Krishna tatpadopasana abhayatanam baddhamityartha drushtehe matyasvyartasya manye vyapasarati bhayam yena sarvatmanaiva.
Rather, the second line, after manye, there is a pause, okay, in the second line.
Manye. Okay. श्रीकृष्ण तत्पदोपासनमभयतं बद्धमित्यार्थदुष्टेः मत्यस्यार्थस्य मन्ये व्यपसरति भयं येन सर्वात्मनैव
श्रीकृष्ण त्वत्पदोपासनम् अभयथं मिथ्यार्थदृष्टेः मर्त्यस्त्यार्थस्य मन्ये व्यपसरति भयं येन सर्वात्मनैव श्रीकृष्ण त्वत्पदोपासनम् अभयतं बद्धमित्यार्थदृष्टेः मर्त्यस्यार्थस्य मन्ये व्यपसरति भयं येन सर्वात्मनैव
यत्तावत् त्वत् प्रणीतानिह भजन vidhin, so that na you break it into in vidhin, comma. Next word will start with the a. Astito moha marge, comma. Dhavanapyavritakshah, that's one word. Dhavanapyavritakshah, put a is to join, vritakshas. Skhalati na kuhachit. So you will have a double the and the a. So first put a it kuhachit, comma. Next word will start with the de. Deva devakilatman. Yattavatvat pranitaniha bhajana vidhin astito moha marge dhavannapyavritakshas khalatina kuhachit deva devakilatman.
यत्तावत् तत्प्रणीतानिह भजनविधिना आस्थितो मोहमार्गे धावन्नप्यानवृत्ताक्षस्वलति नः कुहचित् देवदेवाखिलात्मन्.
Rather on the third line, bhajana vidhin, and then a comma there.
Bhajana vidhin. Yattavat pranitaniha भजन विधिना आस्थितो मोहमार्गे धावन्प्यावृत्ताक्षस्फलति न कुहचित् देवदेवाखिलात्मन्.
Yeah, third line la yattavat pranitaniha bhajana vidhin, comma.
Vidhin
Astito mohamarge.
आस्थितो
यत्तावत् त्वत्प्रणीतानिह भजन विधीन् आस्थितो मोहमार्गे धावन्नप्यावृताक्ष्यस्खलति न कुहचित् देवदेवाखिलात्मन्. यत्तावत् त्वत्प्रणीतानिह भजन विधीन् आस्थितो मोहमार्गे धावन्नप्यावृत्ताक्ष्यस्खलति न कुहचित् देवदेवाखिलात्मन्.
That's it. Bhuvan kahena vacha muhurapi manasa twadbala preritatma yadyat kurve samastam tadiha paratare tvaya savarpayami jatyapi hashvapakah त्वयि निहितमनः कर्मवागीन्द्रियार्थ प्राणो विश्वं पुनीते न तु विमुखमनास्त्वत्पदाद् विप्रभर्यः. So this is literally saying, when we say kayena vacha manasendriyerva, right? We're saying kayena means through my body, whatever I'm doing through my body, through my hands, through my legs, through my body, etc. Vacha is the vak, right? Whatever speech I'm doing. Then manas, what I'm thinking through my mind. And then indriyartha, what I'm doing through the various indriyangal, the karmendriyangal, jnanendriyangal. Then buddhyatma atma is buddhi is through my intellect, right? That is there. And then prakriti swabhavat here referring to what prakriti is, what is inherently we are born with. some characteristics, right? We say you're born with those characteristics which are naturally there to me. And then swabhavat are the habits that I am cultivating, due to which I do certain things, like for my unique personality. So no matter which way or which one is doing what, he says, Karomi etet sakalam parasmai. I am surrendering everything to you, O Krishna. That's what we're saying in Kayena Vacha mantra, which is exactly the same thing. It says Bhuman Kayena Vacha Manasa Api. So it says whatever I'm doing, the best way to do for Bhakti Margam is to completely surrender everything you are actually doing and to offer it to the Lord. No, that doesn't mean that you do something bad and say Kayena Vacha and say, okay, I did something bad, I surrendered it to Krishna, I don't have to worry. That is only okay if you do a lot of good deeds and then you say, I don't need the benefit of those good deeds. I'm sacrificing those good deeds also to Krishna, right? If you get to that level, because that is the first test of whether your Kayena Vacha is true or not, right? Because we all do things expecting something in return. But if you can do a very good act of charity and say, this entire act of charity, Krishna, I'm surrendering to you. I do not need a single benefit from this. I'm doing this just because of my devotion to you. Okay, that's true Kayena Vacha, right? So every time we are saying that, we have to kind of remember that. Anyway, that is what it talks about. And it says that it's comparing, two types of people. It says a person who's of a very low caste, right? Someone who is, born as, let's say, Shudra, doesn't matter what it is. But if that person is truly devoted to the Lord, he is always considered in a higher platform than somebody who is even born as a Brahmana, who has access to everything, but then who is not truly devoted, who is just doing it for the act of doing things. Like a lot of people go and then they do services with some things in return. He says that is considered inferior, even if that's a person of the highest caste, compared to somebody who's of the lowest of caste you can think of, but who's doing it with true devotion. Because devotion always trumps anything else, right? That's what this core message here is. So, Bhuman Kayena Vacha Muhurapi Manasa, comma, Tvat Bala Preritatma, comma, Yadyat Kurve Tamastam Tadiha Paratare Tvaya Savarpayami. So that entire second line is together, no pause. Bhuman Kahena Vacha Muhurapi Manasa Twadbala Preritatma Yadyat Kurve Samastam Tadiha Paratare Tvaya Savarpayami.
भूमन् कायेन वाचा मुहुरपि मनसा त्वत्पद प्रेरितात्मा यद्यत् कुर्मे समस्तं तदिह परतरे त्वय्यसावर्पयामि भूमन् कायेन वाचा मुहुरपि मनसा त्वत्पद तत्बल प्रेरितात्मा यद्यत् कुर्मे समस्तं तदिह परतरे त्वय्यसा सावर्पयामि
भूमन् कायेन वाचा मुहुरपि मनसा त्वद्बलप्रेरितात्मा यद्यत् कुर्वे समस्तं तदिह परत्तरे त्वय्यसावर्पयामि भूमन् कायेन वाचा मुहुरपि मनसा त्वद्बलप्रेरितात्मा यद्यत् कुर्वे समस्तं तदिह परतरे त्वय्यसावर्पयामि
Jatya piha shwapakaha. That is there. Remove it, put a visarga comma. Shwapakaha. Tvayi nihita manaha. Put a h to join. Nihita manah. Karma vag indriyartha. Karma vag indriyartha. Multiple words. Karma vag indriyartha. Put a plus. Prano vishwam punite. Put a comma. So one comma after shwapakaha in the third line. It's continuous, and then prano vishwam punite, comma, nathu vimukha manas tvat padat vipravaryaha jatyapiha shvapakaha त्वयि निहितमनः कर्म वागिन्द्रियार्थ प्राणो विश्वं पुनीते न तु विमुखमनास्त्वत्पदाद् विप्रवर्यः.
Vimuka manas aprama kama. Is there a kama?
It's continuous. It's just a different word. Vimukha manas tvatpadat.
Okay. जात्यापीह श्वभागः त्वयि निहितमनः कर्म वागीन्द्रयात् प्राणो विश्वं पुनीते न तु विमुखमनस्त्वत्पदात् विप्रवर्यः. जात्यापीह श्वभागः त्वयि निहितमनः कर्म वागीन्द्रयात् प्राणो विश्वं पुनीते न तु विमुखमनास्त्वत्पदात् विप्रवर्यः.
जात्यापीह स्वपाकः त्वयि निहतमनस् कर्मवागिन्द्रयार्थ प्राणो विश्वं पुनीते न तु विमुखमनास्त्वत्पदाद् विप्रवर्यः.
Vipravaryaha. Last word.
विप्रवर्यः.
And then Michael, the third line, nihita manaha, right? The joining letter is H, ha. Nihita manah.
Manah, okay. Because I thought somebody said is, so I put manah, correct. Jatyapi hasvapakaha tvayi nihita manah karma vagindra yartha prano vishwam punite natu vimukha manas tvatpradat vishpravaryaha.
Vipravaryaha. Last word.
Vipravaryaha. Rendu thara thappu padi.
Sansatri.
Sir, I have a question. Nihita manah, then karma vahin. Is it vahin and then indriyartha or va indriyartha?
See, Aditna, the right way is karma, vak, V-A-K, indriyartha. Okay, two different words. But in the ik and e, when it joins together, it becomes a G.
Okay, sir.
The
So when we
karma vag indriyartha.
So we can say karma vagindriyat. Okay,
Yeah,
sir.
karma
Thank you.
vag indriyartha is the right way. Because it just joins. The ik and e becomes a G.
Okay,
You
sir.
know?
Thank you.
Sir, if we are splitting, we have to say karma vak indriyartha.
Yeah, if you're separating it, you say karma vak indriyartha.
Yeah.
Ik.
Yes. Okay, thank you, sir.
Sansatri. भीतिर्नाम द्वितीयाद् भवति ननु मनः कल्पितं च द्वितीयं तेनैक्याभ्यासशीलो हृदयमिह यथा शक्तिबुद्ध्या निरुन्ध्या माया विद्धेतु तस्मिन् पुनरपि न तथा भाति मायाधिनाथं तं त्वां भक्त्या महत्या सततमनुभजन्नीश भीतिं विजह्याम्. See, all of this, the problem is it's so, you can go so much into detail into saying this meaning, right? So it says, we are all afraid of something in our life. I'm sure there's something or some person you all are afraid of. Like it could be snakes, it could be anything, right? He says, this fear is coming because we are all ignorant about one thing. We are all ignorant that we are all the same. We are all coming from that one consciousness, and it is the same Bhagavan who is there in everybody. We all are truly ignorant of it. Only because we are ignorant, we see this other thing as something which is different from us. He says, when you reach a point where you realize that it is the same Bhagavan who is there in every single item that is there, you will not fear that.
Nama.
So, sorry, some of these are not unmute. So then it says, then you will not actually fear that thing. So that is the step one that he is actually establishing, that it's all this fear that you are having. Any fear is because you're considering that thing as different from you or different from Bhagavan, right? And he says this duality which we are seeing in this world is something which actually does not exist, because at the end of the day, the Parabrahman is the same in everybody. But the layer outside of it, so you think of this Parabrahman who's there, everybody, outside of that is our own soul, which is there. And that soul begins to think that I am unique. Because if you think of the original Dasakam 5, when the creation starts about the Mahat, which is a universal consciousness. Then comes the ahankaram, which is the creation of the individuality, which makes you believe that you are unique. So that ahankaram individuality makes you believe all of this is true. And then we create, it says, reality in our mind. And the simple example, I'll give you one beautiful story that is coming. I don't know if you know the story called King Janaka. So there is a king, right? So one day he goes to sleep. In his sleep, he goes into a battle. In that battle that is happening, he loses that battle. Because he loses that battle, the new king who's taken over the kingdom is driving Janaka out of his kingdom. He says, "You have to leave the city. I won't kill you. You go." So this Janaka is now walking on the streets of his own kingdom. He's lost his army. He's lost his palace. He's lost his family. He has absolutely nothing. And he's starving. And then he just wants to drink a drop of water. And then finally somebody is there who offers him a drop of water. He's about to drink the drop of water when a crow comes and hits his hand and that water spills on the ground. Now he's drinking the drop of water from the ground because that's how thirsty he is, right? So he thinks to himself, how has my life reduced from being a king to somebody who's having to drink a drop of water from the ground? And that's when he suddenly wakes up from his dream, right? We all have had dreams which we thought were absolutely real. So the next day, he comes to this court and asks, I am now in the court. I can relate to this. I am now the king. I can see all of you. I can feel all of this. But last night, I also felt myself drinking water from the ground. So he asks, which is the truth? Is that true or is this true? Right? So then that person said, his minister said, na ye sach, na wo sach. Neither of that is true. But tu hi sach. Your soul is undergoing an experience which makes it believe that. If you believe, like if it's just an experience that the soul is actually having. If you have seen the movie Avatar, you know the guy who actually goes into the bed, into the simulation, and he actually feels he's out there battling against those creatures. And he's experiencing it. But suddenly he wakes up from it and says, oh my God, it was all an experience. Right? So similarly, anyway, it says here that it's all your mind, which is undergoing this, because of which the soul thinks everybody is different. And because of that, the fear is coming. The once you have supreme devotion, you will get to a point where you will not see the duality among people, which means you will not be afraid of anything or anyone in this world. So, bhitir nama dvitiyat bhavati nanu, comma, manah, put a manah kalpitam cha dvitiyam, comma, tenaikya शीलो हृदयमिह, yata shakti buddhya nirundyam. We'll just say one time because I want to finish this dasakam today. Bhitirnama dvitiyad bhavati nanu manah kalpitam cha dvitiyam tenaikya shilo hridayamiha yata shakti buddhya nirundyam.
भीतिर्नामद्वितीयद्भवति ननु मनः कल्पितं च द्वितीयं तेनैक्याभ्यासशीलो हृदयमिह यथाशक्ति बुद्ध्या निरुन्ध्याम्.
भीतिर्नाम द्वितीयाद् भवति ननु मनः कल्पितं च द्वितीयं तेनैक्याभ्यासशीलो हृदयमिह यथाशक्ति बुद्ध्या निरुन्ध्याम्.
Maya vidhe tu tasminne, punarapi na thatha bhati mayadhinatham, tam tvam bhaktya mahatya, satatham anubhajan. So you can break it that ma. Satatham anubhajanisha bhitim vijahyam, half. Maya vidhetu tasmin punarapi na tatha bhati mayadhinatam तं त्वां भक्त्या महत्या सततमनुभजन्नीश भीतिं विजह्याम्
माया विद्येतु तस्मिन् पुनरपि न तथा भाति मायाधिनाथम् तं भक्त्या महत्या सततम् अनुभजनीश भीतिं विजाह्याम् विजह्याम् नयन
Yeah, you say Vijay, you say
जय
Jahyam or something. You add an extra A somewhere.
विजह्याम्
माया विद्धेतु तस्मिन् पुनरपि न तथा भाति मायादिनाथं तं त्वां भक्त्या महत्या सततम् अनुभजन् नीशभीतिं विजत्याम्.
That's all. भक्तिरुत्पत्ति वृद्धि तव चरणजुषां सङ्गमेनैव पुंसाम् आसाध्ये पुण्यभाजां श्रिय इव जगति श्रीमतां सङ्गमेन तत्सङ्गो देव भूयान् मम खलु सततं तन्मुखात् उन्मिषद्भिः त्वन्माहात्म्यप्रकारैर्भवति च सुदृढा भक्तिरुद्धूतपापा. One of my favorite stanzas. So, it says that, we saw in the previous stanza that the only way you can get rid of fear, the only way you can get rid of all of these attachments is you need to develop that supreme devotion to Bhagavan, right? So the question comes is, how do I develop that devotion? Now, it starts off by saying, to even get a spark of bhakti in you, you should have done some good merits somewhere in any of your previous janma to even get a spark of the devotion, right? And then you have to build on it, right? Without that, without performing good deeds, you do not even get that spark of bhakti. And then now, if you have to become rich, you'll either subscribe to Berkshire Hathaway Warren Buffett's newsletter, or this is a controversial statement, or you will follow Elon Musk. Now, people may not follow him for any number of reasons, but previously people used to follow. He's the richest guy in the world, right? So you will not go ask a poor person, or you will not follow a poor person if you want to become rich, saying he made mistakes, let me follow him. No. Similarly, it says exactly the same comparison. It's saying, just like how Shriya Eva Jagati Srimatam Sangameva. If you want Shriya, if you want prosperity in your life, what do? Srimatam Sangha. You go hang out with rich people. Which means if you need bhakti, what do? You hang out with people who have bhakti. So that's the simplest way to get bhakti. Even if you have a tiny amount, it's very simple. You go hang out with somebody who has more than you, more bhakti than you, you will automatically get bhakti. He says that's the simplest way to get devotion. There's no doubt. You don't have to worry about how am I going to get more bhakti, how am I going to do all this. Your company, satsangam is extremely important. That's why in Sanatana Dharma it says that the company and association you maintain is very important. If the association you maintain is focused on other things, that's what becomes your priority, which is exactly the same thing he's saying. So he's saying, Oh Guruvarappa, please make sure I am always hanging out with people who are very devoted to you. Because it's like a prayer, right? So we're always hanging out with people who are more devoted to you. That devotion is going to increase in me, right? And that devotion is going to increase and it's going to become so firm in me that eventually it is going to eradicate all the sins I have and eradicate all the problems I have over a period of time. And that why the reason you hang out with your people who are devoted to you is because what do? They'll always be Twan Mahatmya Prakare. They will always be talking about how great you are. They will be talking about your stories. They'll be talking about your qualities. They'll be talking about you. So we're constantly hearing that my bhakti will also increase, which is what I need to eventually get rid of all of these things. So Bhakter Utpatti Vriddhi, long E, comma, Tava Charana Jusham Sangame Naiva Pumsam, put a im at the end of that line, Pumsam, comma. Next line, Masadhye becomes Asadhye. Asadhye Punya Bhajam, comma. Shriya Iva Jagati Srimatam Sangamena. Bhaktir Utpatti Vriddhi तव चरणजुषां सङ्गमेनैव पुंसाम् आसाद्ये पुण्यभाजां श्रिय इव जगति श्रीमतां सङ्गमेन
भक्तेरुत्पत्तिवृद्धि तव चरणजुषां सङ्गमेनैव पुंसाम् आसाद्ये पुण्यभाजां श्रिय इव जगति श्रीतां सङ्गमेन
भक्ते रुत्पत्तिवृद्धि तव चरणजुषां सङ्गमेनैव पुंसाम् आसाद्ये पुण्यभाजां श्रिय इव जगति श्रीमतां सङ्गमेन
तत् सङ्गो देव भूयान् मम खलु सततं comma तन्मुखात् उन्मिषत्, you can break it the du, तन्मुखात् unmishadbihi, put a visarga and comma, end of that line, unmishadbihi. Next line, the is will go away. Twan mahatmya prakarair bhavati cha sudrudha, comma, bhaktir uddhuta papa. तत्सङ्घो देव भूयान् मम खलु सततं तन्मुखाद् उन्मिषद्भिः त्वन्माहात्म्यप्रकारैर्भवति च सुदृढा भक्तिरुद्धूतपापा.
तत्सङ्गो देवभूयान् मम खलु सततं तन्मुखाद् उन्मिषद्भिः तन्मात्रे प्रकार्यैर्भवति च सुदृढा भक्ति उद्धूतपापा.
Fourth line, first word, Radha. Tvanmahatmya.
Kamavanga. Is
Yeah,
there
no, just that word. Just repeat that word.
Mahatmya.
Tvanmahatmya.
Mya. Oh. ஏன் இருக்குது. Okay. Tvanmahatmya prakare bhavat.
तत्सङ्गो देव भूयान् मम खलु सततं तन्मुखा उन्मिषद्भिः त्वन्माहात्म्य प्रकारैर्भवति च सुहृदा भक्ति उद्धूतपापा.
Right, we'll switch. Ravi, you can be a student, and Gayatri, you can be a student. Stanza fine. श्रेयो मार्गेषु भक्तावधिक बहुमतिर्जन्म कर्माणि भूयो गायन् क्षेमानि नामान्यपि तदुभयतः प्रद्रुतात्मा उद्यद्दासः कदाचित् कुहचिदपि रुधन् क्वापि गर्जन् प्रगायन्नुन्मादीव प्रणुत्यन् अयि कुरु करुणां लोकबाह्यश्चरेह्यम्. So, he says, it's like again a prayer here to get the devotion, right, that we spoke about earlier. Saying, amongst all these paths which are there, there's no right or wrong. You can always follow karma yoga path or jnana yoga path. Nobody's going to stop you. But the general thing is bhakti margam is generally preferred, because it's relatively easy compared to those other paths which are there. He says, so what I want, the blessings, please bless me, Guru Arapa, so that I will always be Gayan. I'm always singing or talking about your glories and Nama Karmani, Jata Nama Karmani. I'm always talking about your various names like Sahasranamams. I'm always talking about your various Leela and activities like what we saw in Narayaneeyam, right? Talking about your various incarnations which are there. Because only by doing that, Kshemam, I'll get your blessings, right? And even in like we saw Sahasranamam, right? Bhishma says, Yani namani gaunani vikyatani mahatmanaha rishibhi parigitani tani bhakshyami bhute. He says that Sahasranamam is so amazing because it says, even though there are so many names, these are the names which the sages chant. Right, so it's the greatest of those names, right? So whether we are saying the names or talking about all these Leela activities or anything, it says that is what, give me more blessings to do that, because that way I will then get attached to you, right? And then it says the devotion should come to a point where, and this is very important, right? When you reach the peak of devotion, if it says Kwapi Garjan Pragayan Kuhachidapi Rudan. And he says, sometimes you may feel like laughing or smiling when you are in the devotion. Sometimes you will feel rudan, you will feel like crying when you are in the devotion. Sometimes you will feel like singing, sometimes you will feel like dancing, sometimes you might behave like a mad person. He says that feelings when you get, that means you are not truly getting devoted. You are truly getting attached to the Bhagavan. Like you see a lot of people sometimes, you are in tears when they see the Lord or when they hear something, right? He says that is triggering the devotion in you. So you said, I should reach that level of devotion. So the moment I hear your name, I'm either crying or I'm having happiness, feeling of happiness, or I feel like singing or I feel like dancing. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I don't care about what people say. They could call me a madman, but I feel like dancing when I hear Krishna's songs, right? So he says, get me to that stage of devotion. श्रेयो मार्गेषु भक्तावधिक बहुमतिर् जन्म कर्माणि भूयो put a plus gayan kshemani namanyaphi and then a comma. So first line after shreyo margeshu comma, then after namanyapi in the second line comma. Tadubayatah put a f, tadubayatah pradrutam pradrutatma. श्रेयो मार्गेषु भक्तावधिक बहुमतिर्जन्म कर्माणि भूयो गायन् क्षेमानि नामान्यपि तदुभयतः प्रद्रुतं प्रद्रुतात्मा.
श्रेयो मार्गेषु भक्तावधिक बहुमतिर्जन्म कर्माणि भूयो गायन् क्षेमानि नामान्यपि तदुभयतः प्रद्रुतं प्रद्रुतात्मा.
One time more. I think this will take long otherwise.
Okay.
श्रेयो मार्गेषु भक्तावधिक बहुमतिर्जन्म कर्माणि भूयो गायन् क्षेमानि नामान्यपि तदुभयत प्रकृतं प्रद्रुतात्मा.
Udyat dasah put a ich join. Udyat dasah kadachit kuhachidapi rudan comma kwapi garjan. So the next line, it is in Sanskrit, there are double na in the fourth line. If you have a double na in the fourth line, you move one of the in to the third line. So kwapi garjan pragayan and then put a plus. Then nunma diva pranutyan. So again, double na coming, you put a in. So kwapi garjan pragayan nunma diva pranutyan, comma. Next word will start with the a. I kuru karunam loka bahyash chareyam. Half ha bahyash chareyam. Udhyadasah kadachit kuhachidapi rudhan क्वापि गर्जन प्रगायन उन्मादीव प्रणुत्यन अयि कुरु करुणां लोकबाह्यश्चरेयम्.
उद्यद्दासः कदाचित् कुहसितविरुधन् क्वापि गर्जन् प्रगायन् उन्मादीव प्रणुत्यन् अयि कुरु करुणां लोकभाग्यश्चरेयम्.
उद्यद्दासः कदाचित् गुगचितपि वृतन् क्वापि गर्जन् प्रकायन् उन्मादीव प्रणुत्यन् अयि कुरु करुणां लोकभाग्यश्चरेयम्.
The last word, Gayatri, lokabahyaschareyam.
लोकभाग्यश्चरेयम्.
Answer 6. भूतान्येतानि भूतात्मकमपि सकलं पक्षिमत्स्यान् मृगाधीन् मर्त्यान् मित्राणि शत्रूनपि यमितमतिस्त्वन्मयान् यानमानि त्वत्सेवायां हि सिद्धेन्मम तव कृपया भक्तिधार्ढ्यं विरागस्त्वत्तत्त्वस्यावबोधोऽपि च भुवनपदे यत्नभेदं विनैव. So he starts by saying, how to get that equanimity with everybody, right? He says, first, you have to look at the fundamental elements, the 5 elements of Panchabhutam, and know that you reside in all of those Panchabhutams. So first I'm going to worship you in those Panchabhutams. Once I see you in those Panchabhutams, then I realize that everything else which is there, like Pakshi, birds, Matsya, all the aquatic animals, Mrigan, all the animals, and all the mortals, all of these are made of the Panchabhutas. So if you exist in the fundamental elements in all of these Panchabhutas, that means some composition of those Panchabhutas have made all of these organisms, which means you automatically exist in all of those, right? When you start looking that way, then Mitrani, all your friends, Shatrun, people who are you think are your enemies, you start looking at them equally because you see the same Paramatma in every single person, right? He says, now, how do you get to that level of feeling of looking at everybody the same? Is you have to develop what is in the previous stanza. When you develop bhakti towards Bhagavan, that you see, then you start seeing that Bhagavan in every single thing, right? And he says, so please give me that level of bhakti towards you, right? Dhardyam means firm. So give me such firm devotion towards you that I feel that love towards everybody, and I'm not discriminating between people, right? I'm seeing everybody, not just humans, but also the other animals and all creatures, right? I think that's the test you always, at least I think, is if you're afraid of something. I'm afraid of snakes, right? So when you reach a point where you see a snake and I don't run away from it, saying that, okay, there's Krishna in there, okay, then you reach that state, right? I reached that with dogs, by the way, nowadays. So so I made some progress. Bhutan yetani bhutatmakamapi sakalam, comma, pakshi matsyan mrigadin, comma, martyan mitrani shatrunapi, comma, yamita matis twan mayan yanamani, short e, भूतान्येतानि भूतात्मकमपि सकलं पक्षिमत्स्यान् मृगादीन् मर्त्यान् मित्राणि शत्रूनपि यमितमतिस्त्वन्मयान्यानमानि
भूतान् एतानि भूतात्मकमपि सकलं पक्षिमत्स्यान् मृगादीन् मत्यान् मित्राणि शत्रुनपि यमिदमदि त्वन्मयान्यानमानि
भूतान्येतानि भूतात्मकमपि सकलं भक्षिमत्स्यान् मृगादीन् मद्यान् मित्राणि शत्रुन्नपि यमितमतस्त्वन्मयान्यानमानि
मयान् यानमानि
यन्मयान्यानमानि ओके
त्वत् सेवायां हि सिद्ध्येन मम तव कृपया, comma, so because of your grace give me that blessings, comma, kripaya, bhakti dhardyam viraga, so put a plus, so combine the third line with the fourth line, bhakti dhardyam viragas. So the next word is a little bit of a tongue twister. It's tvat tat twasyava bhodopi. So tvat tat twasyava bhodopi cha bhuvanapate, comma. So one comma after kripaya in the third line, one after bhuvanapate in the fourth line. Yatna bhedam vinaiva. Tvatsevahyam hi siddhyen mama tava kripaya bhakti dhardyam viragas tvattatvasyava bodhopi cha bhuvanapate yatna bhedam vinaiva.
ராஜேஷ் ஜி அங்க வந்து त्वत् तत् தத் त्वान् பதிலா வஸ்யாவான் போட்டிருக்கு தமிழ் புக்
Tvat tat
ஓகே
twasyava bodhopi.
ஓகே இன்னொரு
there'll be two it in Sanskrit.
ஓகே
அந்த இடத்துல. So we're just breaking those two its. Tvat tat twasyava bodhopi.
ஓகே
त्वत्सेवायां हि सिद्ध्येन् मम तव कृपया भक्तिदाट्यं विरागस्त्वत्तत्त्वस्यावबोधोऽपि च भुवनपते यत्नभेदं विनैव
त्वत्सेवायां हि सिद्ध्येन् मम तव कृपया भक्तिदार्ढ्यं त्वत्वस्यावबोधेऽपि च भुवनपते यत्नभेदं विनैव.
And the word, the last, fourth and first word, Gayatri. Tvattvasyavabodhopi.
बोधोऽपि.
Bodhopi. You're saying bodhe, you're saying bodhopi.
Okay.
And the word,
Rajesh, can you please repeat the breaks in the starting with the twa sevaya, please?
Yeah. Tvat sevayam ki siddhin in mama tava kripaya, comma, bhakti dhardyam viragas tvat tat tvasyava bodhopi. That's one word. Tvasyava bodhopi cha bhuvanapate.
So where's the break starting from Bhaktidardyam?
I mean, it goes continuous from Bhakti Dadyam Viragas Tvatta Tvasyava Bodho Picha Bhuvanapate.
Okay. Thank you.
Siddhenam mamavat.
Mama.
Siddhenman. எப்படி இது?
Siddhen Mama.
சித்திம் மமாவா?
Siddhen Mama.
Okay. Thank you.
Going back to that twat that vasyan போட்டிருக்கு இல்ல இந்த twasyan படிக்கணுமா அத?
இல்ல Tvat Tat Tvasyava. Twa.
அப்ப ரெண்டு இத்தா?
There'll be two its in your Sanskrit book. You should have two its.
தமிழ் புக்ல ஒரே ஒரு
ஒரு இத்து தான் போட்டிருக்கு.
Okay. Then you have to fix it then. It's two it there. Tvat Tat Tvasyava Bodho. Okay. Two it there. Stanza 7. No muhyan kshutridaadhyair bhavasarani त्वन्निलीनाशयत्वात् चिन्ता सातत्यशाली निमिषलवमपि त्वत्पदादप्रकम्पः इष्टानिष्टेषु तुष्टिव्यसनविरहितो मायिकत्वावबोधात् ज्योत्स्नाभिस्त्वन्नखेन्दोः अधिकशिशिरितेनात्मना सञ्चरेयम्. So, continuing from the previous, she says, I've always been Tvat Sevayam. I've always been your service. And by always thinking about you, worshipping you, you will then give me that Bhakti Dhardyam. You'll give me that firm devotion towards you. Right? So when you get that firm devotion towards you, we saw one is you see everybody, everything equal. That's number one outcome of the firm devotion. The second thing is accepting whatever comes your way as is. So you go to a dinner and you like gobi Manchurian, which I like, and I don't like brinjals. So if I get brinjal, I like, oh, it's my bad fate, right? I hate eating brinjals. He says, no, that's the difference. You should say whatever is coming my way is what I'm destined to eat today, because that's what Bhagavan wants me to eat today, right? And later on, we'll see how when they talks about some of the sages, they are only allowed to go ask for bhiksha in 4 houses. If they do not get the bhiksha in 4 houses, then they have to say, today it's Bhagavan's wish that I don't eat today, right? And that's why they don't stay in a village for more than a few days, because then they'll get used to eating one person's food. And they'll say, oh, that person in that house cooks well, so next day I'm going to go ask for bhiksha in that person's house. They should not get attached to the food, right? Because that's one of the big challenges of getting our senses under control is if you can overcome that sense of taste, if you can control that, then rest of the senses become much easy, right? So he says that's why it says they place so much emphasis around it to say that here is not specifically talking about food, but he's saying everything, no matter what I get, I should consider that is what is there for my food today. If I don't get food, then just move on with it, right? And not get attached to any particular thing. And more importantly, the way your chinta, the way I'm always thinking about you is nimisha lavamapi, even for a fraction of a second, I should not be not thinking of you. I should always be thinking of you. Let there not even be a fraction of a second where I'm thinking of something else. Right? He says you need to reach that level of bhakti. When you reach that level of bhakti, don't worry about karma yoga, jnana yoga, and all of that stuff. Everything else is like irrelevant at that point. Right? Because when you're truly thinking about the Lord all the time and you're seeing him or her whichever way you want in every single thing. All right. And so, anyway, he says, once that is there, then I'll be able to move much more peacefully because you're not worried about anything. We are all worried because we want something or we don't want something. But if you see everything equal, then it doesn't matter. Then he says, I'll be much more peaceful, right? And being much more peaceful, I can spend more time with you. So, no muhyan shud tridadhyair bhava tarani bhavaihi. So that is there, remove it, put a visarga comma, bhavaihi. Twan nilinashayatvat. So put it. Twan nilinashayatvat. Put it at the end of that line, comma. Next line, if you have an extra ich, that will go away. Chinta satatya shali nimisha lavamapi tvat padat aprakampaha. If you want to break that, tvat padat aprakampaha. Second line, there is no pause. It's continuous. No muhyan kshutridaadhyairbhavasarani bhavaihi tvanhilinashayatvat chinta satatyashali nimishalavamapi tvatpadada prakampaha.
No muhyan shuddradadyair bhavasarani bhavaihi tvannili nasayadvad Sinta satatya nimishasamavi tvatpadat apragambah.
No muhyan sudridadyer bhavasarani bhavaihi त्वत्निलीनाशयत्वात् चिन्ता सादत्यशाली निमिषलवमपि त्वत्पाद प्रकम्बः.
The last word is tvat padat aprakampaha.
Okay.
Ishta nishteshu tushti vyasana virahito, comma, Mayikatvava bodhat. Again, it at the end of the line. Mayikatvava bodhat, comma. Next line, if you have two ij in Sanskrit, one of the ij will go away. Jyotsnabhis tvanna kendhoho. So the ra that is there, we're going to remove it, put a visarga, comma. Tvanna kendhoho, visarga, comma. Next word will start with the a. Adhika Shishirite Natmana, one word. Shishirite Natmana Sanchareyam. Ishtanishteshu Tushtivyasana Virahito Mayikatvava Bodhat Jyotsna Bhistvanna Kendo Adhika Shishirite Natmana Sanchareyam.
Ishtanishteshu dushti vyasana virahito mahi gatvavabodhat jyotsnabhistvannagantoho adhigasisirite natmana sanchareyam.
इष्टानिष्टेषु तुष्टिव्यसनविरहितो मायिकत्वावबोधात् ज्योत्स्नापि सत्त्वन्नकेतो अधिकशिशिरितेनात्मना सञ्चरेयम्.
And the fourth line, first part, Jyotsna Bhis.
Okay, Jyotsnabhis
Tvannakendoho.
Twattvane.
So just repeat after me the first part, right? Jyotsnabhis.
Jyotsnabhis.
Tvannakendoho.
Tvannakendoho.
You got it? You got it. Jyotsnabhis tvannakendoho.
ज्योत्स्नाभिस्त्वन्नकेन्तोः
Yeah.
Okay.
Rajesh, in the last line in Tamil, when there is Ken do ho, there is actually Ken do ra tika.
Yeah,
So
and the
we can take the ra and then say as the Ken do ho
correct.
and then make it as adika, right? Sir?
Correct.
Okay.
Exactly. So the r that is there, you think of it as it's ir and a.
So when we say it, then do we say Ken do ho
No,
or
no.
no?
And the ir becomes the visarga.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay. And the ir becomes the visarga, and then the next word remains starts with a. Adhika. Shishirite.
Apurva, இது அதிக சிஷிரித்தே நாத்மனா we have to combine ஆத்மனான்னு சொல்லலாமா அது?
இது shishi, அது வந்து இது shishiriteena atmana, right? So you don't have to break it andamari. So you just say shishiriteena atmana, you can say it together. You don't have to break each of those parts like that.
Thank you.
Okay. Answer 8. भूतेष्वेषु त्वदैक्य स्मृति समधिगतौ नाधिकारोऽधुना चेत् त्वत्प्रेम त्वत्कमैत्री जडमतिषु कृपा द्वित्सु भूयादुपेक्षा अर्चायां वा समर्चा कुतुकमुरुतर श्रद्धया वर्धतां मे त्वत्संसेवी तथापि त्रुतमुपलभते भक्तलोकोत्तमत्वम्. So, like all these things that we've been praying so far in all these previous stanzas of give me so much devotion towards you, so I can feel like that, I can feel like this. Even Bhattaripad is saying that, look, it is all so much out there that we all are so far away from it, right? This long way for most of us to get there. So he says, even Bhattaripad is saying, even for me, he says, it's a very long way for me to reach that point. So he says, for now, at least give me certain things. One is Tvat Prema, at least give me blessings. So I love you, O Krishna, right? Give me number one, that is one. Second, being kind to at least people who love you. That is relatively easier. He says, I don't have to get me to the point where I'm loving everybody equally. But at least people who love you, O Krishna, make me feel nice to them, right? I should be liking them more. That is a step one, right? And that's why the Bhakti Utpatti Vriddhi, that stanza is coming again relevant, right? He says, by doing this, he said, I don't have to even get to the point of seeing you in every element in this world, because that is a set of realization that you have, which is very far away. But at least bless me so that when I see Archayam, when I'm seeing your form in the form of a photo or in the form of an idol, right? I feel like worshipping you and my faith in you goes up. Starting with very basic, right? Saying at least give me that blessing. So when I'm seeing you, a photo of Krishna, I feel like worshipping that Krishna. When I'm going to the temple, I see an idol of Krishna, I feel like worshipping Krishna. Let me at least bless me there first. Let me start there, and from there, step by step, we'll go to a point where we see Krishna in every single element and every single atom out there. Right? So that is again, all of this is a prayer to say, please get me to that level. Bhuteshveshu twadaikyya smriti samadhigatau, nadhikarodhuna chet. Put a it at the end of that line, chet. Next line, if you have two its, one of the it will go away. Tvat prema tvatka maitri jhadamatishu kripa, dvitsu bhuyadupeksha. Bhuteshveshu twadaikyya smriti samadhigatau nadhikarodhuna chete tvat prema tvatka maitri jadamatishu kripa द्वित्सु भूयादुपेक्षा.
भूतेष्वेषु त्वदैक्य स्मृति समधिगतौ नाधिकारोऽधुना चेत् त्वत्प्रेम त्वत्क मैत्री जडमतिषु कृपा द्वित्सु भूयादुपेक्षा.
भूतेष्वेषु त्वदैकस्मृतिसमधिगतौ नाधिकारोऽधुना चेत् त्वत्प्रेम त्वत्कमैत्री जडमतिषु कृपा द्वित्सु भूयात् भूयातुपेक्षा
उपेक्षा
पेक्षा भूयात्
अर्चायां वा समर्चा kutukam urutara. If you want to break it that ma, kutukam urutara shraddhaya pardatam me, comma. That line is continuous. Tvat samsevi tathapi drutam upalabhathe, comma. Bhakta lokottamatvam. One word, lokottamatvam. अर्चायां वा समर्चा कुतुकम् उरुतर श्रद्धया वर्धतां मे त्वत्संसेवी तथापि द्रुतमुपलभते भक्तलोकोत्तमत्वम्
अर्चायां वा समर्चा गुदुकम् उरुतर श्रद्धया वर्धतां मे त्वत्संसेवी तदापि धृतमुपलभते भक्तलोकोत्तमत्वम्
अर्चायां वा समर्चा कुतुकमुरुतर श्रद्धया वर्धतां मे त्वत्संसेवी तथापि धृतमुपलभते भक्तलोकोत्तमत्वम्
Last word, bhakta lokottamatvam.
भक्तलोकोत्तमत्वम्.
That's nice.
Rajesh, one
Yeah.
question, sir, sorry. In Kudukam Urutaras, then Shraddhaya. So it should be Urutaras and then Shraddhaya.
Yeah, urutara shraddhaya. The shraddhaya
Urutara.
is faith.
Okay,
And
sir.
urutara is like much more like deep faith. So urutara shraddhaya.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you.
That's a nine. आवृत्य त्वत्स्वरूपं क्षितिजलमरुदाद्यात्मना विक्षिपन्ति जीवान् भूयिष्ठकर्मावलिविवशगतीन् दुःखजाले क्षिपन्ति त्वन्मायामाभिभून्मामयि भुवनपते कल्पते तत्प्रशान्त्ये त्वत्पादे भक्तिरेवेत्यवदधि विभो सिद्धयोगी प्रबुद्धः. It says all, like we saw a little bit earlier, right? That we are not able to understand that who the true Paramatma is, who the true Bhagavan is, because all these other things are so distracting for us. We see water, we see fire, we see all these elements, we see all these different things, and we all think they're all separate, right? We are not able to relate to the fact that is Bhagavan. So that's why you think it's because of your Maya that I'm seeing all these things are different. And no matter what, everybody who is here, we are all here because we have some karma that we have created, else we wouldn't be here, right? The prarabdha karma which we got, else we are not going to be here. So it says, you please bless me because I am bound to suffer what according to my karma, whatever is expected, I'm going to get it. There's nobody who can wave off, right? It's very difficult. Only thing what you can get blessings is to help overcome that, right? And gradually eliminate and not get impacted by that karma. So he says that's what they're saying. Tvat pade bhakti reveti. I think devotion to your feet is the only way I have which will help me overcome all the karmas I still have, as well as to kind of not worry about it, right? If we have time at the end of the class, I'll spend a few minutes on the 4 types of karmas, but not right now. We'll get this done first. Avritya tvat swarupam, comma, क्षिति जल मरुदाध्यात्मना विक्षिपन्ति, comma, जीवान् भूयिष्ठ कर्मावलि विवश गतीन्, comma, दुःखजाले क्षिपन्ति. दुःखजाले means a web of sorrow. आवृत्य त्वत्स्वरूपं क्षितिजलमरुदाद्यात्मना विक्षिपन्ति जीवान् भूयिष्ठकर्मावलिविवशगतीन् दुःखजाले क्षिपन्ति.
आवृत्य त्वत्स्वरूपं क्षितिजलमरुदाद्यात्मना विक्षिपन्ति जीवान् भूयिष्ठकर्म वलिविवशगतीन् दुःखजाले क्षिपन्ति.
आवृत्य त्वत्स्वरूपं क्षितिजलमरुदाद्यात्मना विक्षिबन्ति जीवान् भूयिष्ठकर्मा वलिविवसकदीन् दुःखजाले क्षिपन्ति
त्वन्माया माभिभून् मामयि भुवनपते कल्पते तत् प्रशान्त्यै त्वत्पादे भक्तिरेवेत्यव one word भक्तिरेवेत्यव ददयि विभो सिद्ध योगी प्रबुद्धः त्वन्मायामाभिभून्मामयि भुवनपते कल्पते तत्प्रशान्त्यै त्वत्पादे भक्तिरेवेत्यवददयि विभो सिद्धयोगी प्रबुद्धः
त्वन्माया मा विभून्मा मयि भुवनपते कल्पते तत्प्रशान्त्यै त्वत्पादे भक्तिरेवे यवततयि विभो सिद्धयोगी प्रबुद्धः
त्वन्मायामापि भूम्मा मयि भुवनपते कल्पते तत्प्रशान्त्यै त्वत्पादे भक्तिरेवेद्यव ददयि विभो सिद्धयोगी प्रबुद्धः
दुःखान्यालोक्य जन्तुष्वलमुदितविवेकोऽहमाचार्यवर्यात् लब्ध्वा त्वद्रूपतत्त्वं गुणकचरितकथाद्युद्भवद्भक्तिभूमा मायामेनां तहित्वा परमसुखमहे त्वत्पदे मोदिताहे तस्यायं पूर्वरङ्गः पवनपुरपते नाशया शेषरोगान्. Just wrapping up is this, it's not complicated. You can look around yourself, right? Amongst all the people, all the creatures which are suffering so much, right? He says, all these sufferings which everybody is actually having, you feel like, how do I not get stuck into it? I need to overcome that. I need to get out of that web of sufferings. And he says the only way is by understanding who you are, the true nature of the Bhagavan, from like some spiritual person, or by constantly guna charita katha, by talking about your gunas, by talking about your stories, by talking about your greatness, right? By doing all of these things, I will get that supreme devotion which will help me overcome all of these things. So again, that is the ultimate prayer of this entire dashakam, is you give me that supreme devotion towards you, because that is the only way I can actually get over all of these things, right? And Pavana Purapate, Guruvayurappa, please eradicate all the ailments I have. Dukkhan yalokya jantushvalam udita. That word, jantushvalam udita vivekoham acharya. I'm just breaking at that ma. Vivekoham acharya varyat. Put it at the end of that line, comma. So the entire line is together. Next line, if you have a ill at the beginning, that will go away. Labdhva twadrupa tattvam, guna charita kathat yudbhavat bhakti bhuma. Dukkhanyalokya jantushvala mudita vivekoham acharya varyat labdhva twadrupa tattvam Gunacharita kathadyudbhavat bhakti bhuma.
दुःखान्यालोक्य चन्दुष्फलमुदित विवेकोऽहम् आचार्यवर्यात् लब्ध्वा त्वत्रूपतत्त्वं गुणचरितकथात् उद्भवद्भक्तिभूमा
दुःखानालोक्य जन्तुष्वलमुदित विवेकोऽहम् आचार्यवर्यात् लब्ध्वा त्वद्रूपतत्त्वं गुणचरितगदाद्युद्भवद्भक्तिभूमा.
Right, the first word dukkhan yalokya, ya sound, okay,
Okay.
Maya menam taritva, parama sukhamaye tvatpade moditahe, tasyayam purvarangaha, pavana purapate nashayashesha rogan. माह्यामेधां तरित्वा परमसुखमहे त्वत्पदे मोदिताहे तस्यायं पूर्वरङ्गः पवनपुरपते नाशयाशेषरोगान्.
मायामेनां धरित्वा परमसुगमये त्वत्पदे मोदिदाहे तस्यायं पूर्वरङ्गः भवनपुरपदे नाशयाशेषरोगान्.
मायामेनां धरित्वा परमसुगमये त्वत्पदे मोदिदाहे तस्यायं पूर्वरङ्गाः पवनपुरपते नाशयाशेषरोगान्.
श्री कृष्णाय परब्रह्मणे नमः. सान्ध्रानन्दावबोधात्मकमनुपमितं कालदेशावदेभ्यां निर्मुक्तं नित्यमुक्तं निगमशतसहस्रेण निर्भास्यमानम् अस्पष्टं दृष्टमात्रे पुनरुरुपुरुषार्थात्मकं ब्रह्मतत्त्वं तत्तावद्भाति साक्षात् गुरुपवनपुरे हन्त भाग्यं जनानाम्. कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि. Sorry, we're a couple minutes over. I want to at least finish this, right? Some chapters, it just takes longer. I think for the next 7-8 chapters, we'll probably have to repeat only once so that we don't have to cut down on the meaning, right? For those who want to stay, couple minutes, right? Otherwise, if you have to drop, totally understand. So, it spoke about the karma, right? So, there are 4 types of karma which are there. So, one is called as the sanchita karma. Sanchita karma is we've all taken so many births in the past. Every birth, every action, and the action could be a physical action you're doing. You're going and hitting somebody, that generates a karma. You're going and giving money to somebody, charity, that creates a karma, positive, negative, right? And it can be from the actions, it can be from the words, it can even be from your thoughts. Even if you think, I want to go hit that guy, that generates a negative karma, right? Because you thought about it. The intensity of it is different, right? But karma is created. Now, all of this that you have created over so many lifetimes is called as sanchita karma, which is there. Then, when you take this birth, right, you can't exhaust all your karma because you just look at 1 week, the amount of sins we all commit or amount of good things you all do, right, is too much for a soul to even do it in one birth. So the soul then decides, I'm going to take a portion of that karma in this birth of mine. That is called as a prarabdha karma. So that is the karma which you bring to this life. And karma, so when something happens to you, if it is good stuff that happens to you, if it is bad stuff that happens to you, that is because of the karma that you have brought into this life. Everything in this world is absolutely fair. There's nothing unfair that happens actually. We think it is unfair because we don't know the reason for it, right? But if something happens, it's all fair, right? So there's a Shani transit happening on 29th of March and people are like, please, nothing happened. No, it will definitely happen. If you have bad karma, you're going to get it. Shani Bhagavan is just a messenger. He's like a postmaster who has to come and deliver his stuff. If you have bad karma to be, undergone this year Janmam, you are going to get it. If you have good karma, you're going to get it. Nobody can take it away from you, right? That is the prarabdha karma, is the karma you have brought in for this birth of yours. Now, as you're doing that, whatever is happening, you in this birth, you create more karma. That is called as a kriyamana karma, which is the karma which you are creating in this birth. Fresh karma you are accumulating every time you're born, right? So in that kriyamana karma, some things you will actually get paid for, right? Like in the sense you do a good thing. Sometimes a good thing may happen to you in this janmam itself. You do a bad thing, some punishment may happen to you this janmam itself. If it has not, then that gets into a new karma. It's called agamana karma, but that goes back to your cloud account of your ongoing karma. You are never going to escape from it, right? So if somebody is hurt somebody, but saying, how did this person not get punishment? Maybe he will get punishment in this janmam, or he'll get punishment in some other janmam, but it is not going to go unescaped. right? So that's why, the point of liberation comes when this is balanced out, right? Because if you have created a lot of good karma in this birth, you still have to take another birth because you earned the good karma. Now, you may take birth in this earth or you may take birth in a heavenly planet, depending on the consciousness that you have to, to benefit from that good karma. But you have to net neutralize, right? That's why you have to reach a point of saying, kayena vacha, like we said, that comes back to that, is you should not own any karma, right? When Karna got liberated finally at the end, he had so much good karma also with him. So that's why Krishna had to go and say, Karna, it's time for you to get liberated. Sahasra Kavacha, you had thousands of births. Finally, time has come for you to get liberated. And the only way you get liberated is you even give up your good karma. Because you have good karma, you're going to take birth again. Right? Anyway, those are the 4 karmas. So that's why here it says, in that one of the stanzas, stanza 9, it said, I'm not going to be able to eradicate it. So at least give me the strength to live through it and to overcome those karmas which I deserve, right? So that's all. Anyway, so
So what is the 4th karma? 4th பேர் என்ன சொன்னீர்? karma, prarabdha karma, அது தெரியும். கிரியமான karma.
அந்த ஆகமான karma. It's agamana karma. But that is more like this birth's karma for which you haven't got a result. So it's a carryover that you are having, which goes into your bank account, right? Your karma bank account.
I think it's time to take out my Tattva Bodha, Bhagavad Gita, all that, and read again. The combination of everything.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Agamana karma reminds me of the student loans that you cannot escape even after dying.
I know, exactly.
It's on your name.
I know. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rajesh.
Rajesh, one quick question. Till what week this will go? Another 4 more weeks?
I'm thinking I want to finish it by end of April.
End of April. Okay.
So,
both.
Yeah.
Would we end it online itself, sir, or would we meet at a temple or something?
Somebody was asking, I forget who was asking. Anyway, so see, typically I try to do the last class at my home if everybody wants to come, but I know not everybody is here, but at least Reti, Mridula, Anita, you, Ravi, Bhuvana and all, they are all like at least close by to my house. Some of them, Radha and Shashirika, Gayatri may have to drive. So we can see, we can plan it towards that point, right? When we reach that end week, if you all want to come over, we can have one class in person towards the very end.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fine. Yeah.
We'll decide it at that point. Else we'll do it online only. But anyway, those who cannot join, come in person, we'll do it online. We'll anyway have an online session for sure, right? Because there are people out of town.
Out of town, if you give us enough notice, we may show up at your house or somebody.
Anytime. You can show up anytime.
There you go, Maithili.
Rajesh ji, edukko link kudungo Rajesh ji.
Yeah, Mama. Let me just look into it and give you an approximate date when it might be. Okay. But I want to finish it by.
I'm trying to get Kritika to carpool with me.
Yeah, perfect.
Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you could give us couple weeks notice, sir.
Yeah, and I think I'll post it today itself. I'll give an approximate date today. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Rajesh.
7. Yeah.
Okay.